I'm not going to keep you much longer. I think most of what have been said this morning have been said very, very clearly. It's a process we are commencing, a very deliberate and diligent process in which everyone must be involved. In Mr. Akonobi's presentation, when he said that it's 4 plus 4, 8, and 8 and 8, so 32 years. That's the career of the civil servant. Right? 4 administrations of 8 years each. So it is a mistake for the political class we represent to believe that we can make the kind of progress we promise our people without engaging the civil service. That's why we have taken this time out, these last 6 months, to try and understand the issues with the civil service, to try and see how we can work with the civil service, how we can strengthen the civil service, so that when politicians come on board to join us, we can witness a rapid progress. Of course, there are going to be issues. There are people who have been here for the last 32 years, who have done things in a certain way, who may not be able to cope. But that is life. They may have to live on their own. That is the honorable thing to do. Otherwise, they may not be able to blend. Because if you've done something for so long in a certain way, and you are being forced to change within a short period of time, it may not be healthy for you. From what you have heard, we have no choice. We have no option. And we have no time. Right? You heard what I said a couple of days ago, or a week or so ago, which is all about media. What I said is that, look, since the end of the Civil War, because before the Civil War, Nigeria operated on a certain paradigm. We had no crude oil. The regions relied on the resources they had. And government ran based on taxation, which it earned from the regions and production, particularly agricultural production in the regions. But in the last 40 or so years, crude oil came and replaced those economic activities and earnings. So we've run a federation relying almost exclusively on crude oil, fossil fuel. With the advent of COVID last year, there was a wake-up call, a shock to the world, which you know all the crises, but politically triggered off a change in the government in America. And since President Biden came into power, the Americans, US government, have pumped so much money in such a short time trying to look for alternatives. And where we are in the world today, from what I see and I know, is that we will be fortunate because nobody is investing in fossil fuel, in crude oil. Nobody. They're looking at alternatives. The Japanese are now getting energy from water. They're extracting hydrogen from oxygen to generate energy. This is where we are in the world today. So for a country that is still hoping on crude oil, it's only a question of time. And pretending and doing all sorts of, interesting financial gymnastics to keep it going It's only a question of time. And it's not a long time. But what we have going for us in Edo is, as a region, when there were 3 other regions in this country, we were the only ones in the history of Nigeria who said we want to be on our own. Broke out of the Western region, and we have been on our own since. We know how to survive. When we left the Western region in 1963 to Midwest, we came with nothing. What we came with were the core civil servants from the West, the trained civil servants. They were the ones who came here and we built this region and this state. With the kind of transformation and change we're seeing, as long as we can engage you, the civil servants, and build a new crop of you, we will prevail. But we must do what we have started doing now. This is our survival. We must sit down, we must plan. And this planning has to involve everybody. Yes, the budget team has done a great job. The shadow did a fantastic job. However, that is not the kind of planning we want. Where I, the governor, come in and I'm only hearing and seeing what has been happening. That means I was not even involved in the process. So if I wasn't involved, how many of the 3,000 or more public and civil servants were involved? This one, everybody must be involved. That is the key difference. Everybody must be involved. Joanna, we will have to teach her children in the primary schools about this plan. Because when I was growing up, at the age of 6, they took us on an excursion to Irokota Hall to show us the plan which Obamudia had for Midwest. That's when I was. So it was in my mind. There were no express, there were no dual carriage roads then. But as a child, I saw it. We saw the drainage system being built in the center of the city. So it's got to be ingrained in the minds and hearts of everybody. That's going to be our citizen document. It has to be a very rigorous and deliberate process. And it's going to tie back into the transformation exercise which has been commenced. It's going to tie back into your KPIs. It's going to tie back into your scorecards. The difference today is that with technology, everything is possible. Technology brings in a certain level of transparency, so people can't hide. You just have to do the work. Lastly, note, it is not about us. Daniel's presentation talked about one thing, the citizens. It's not about government. When they say government, what they really mean is us. So it's about how we engage with the citizens. Over time, because of the structure of our economy, and that's what you hear from Abuja today, the people in government think they are better. They know more than the citizens. Who are you to know? When you say something they disagree with, because if we're in power, so we know more than you. We the people, we the officials of government, we politicians, we civil servants, because we are government, we think that we are better than and know more than the people. But it's a fallacy. It's a fallacy because it is these people, it is the taxes they pay from their own economic activities that will sustain us going into the future. It is their sweat that will pay our salaries. So it cannot be foolish for them to be producing the resources that keep us. Therefore, our emphasis must be on them. We have to keep them alive. The smart farmer ensures that you feed the chicken so that it can produce a lot of eggs. That's why government needs to create the enabling environment for the citizens to thrive, to do well, so that from their wealth, government can be sustained. This used to be what it was. Sometime in the history of this country, people in government began to feel threatened by people who create wealth because they say, oh, they will sponsor coups and all that. And so there was an unwitting ethos or witting decision, as it were, to undermine people who produce. So what you have now is a situation where it's like, okay, who are you? You ordinary or bloody civilian, right? Do you know who I am? I'm government. And it's been like there's been this competition between the governed and the people. But as democracy evolves, that competition is being smoothened out. So going forward, the next steps, this process has started. We're going to have monthly workshops in which I will be present. And from what they have told us, we're going to have between 12 and 18 of those workshops because this exercise must be complete in 18 months. So that all of us understand what the scores are, what's on the table, where we are going, and how we will get there. And we're going to develop our plans and own the plans with the citizens of our state. And I can assure you, from what I heard this morning, from what I've seen, the sky is our limit. The sky is the limit. Because all the ideas, all the resources that are being paraded, if we're able to capture all of them into a streamlined plan and pursue them diligently, nobody will touch us. Thank you very much and have a great weekend.